Difficult women.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Difficult
Women.
Women. I'm Marie.
I'm Katie.
And we're in the hot folk pop duo called Reformed Whores.
Yes, it's comedy. We have to add that too. The comedic folk pop duo.
Right.
Reformed Whores.
We're just a cool folk pop duo.
Yeah.
You know, living in Brooklyn, writing songs about
Dicks.
penises.
Yeah. That's us. Who are you? Send us an email. Let us know.
Yeah, actually, guys, we haven't been getting so many emails. So please, if you have any inspiring stories or, you know, any opinions on things, we'd love to hear from you.
Or if you have a topic you'd like us to talk about.
Oh, even better. Because we're like, I don't know what else to talk about.
Oh
There's
my
so
God.
many things to talk about.
many things to talk about.
I know. You're a very
yeah.
opinionated. I'm just like, whatever. Let's just smoke some pot and call it a day.
Cool. That's cool too.
No, but please send us emails. We want to hear from you. difficultwomenpodcast@gmail.com. Send it our way. Join us on Patreon also. That's a good way to support your hoes.
Yes, we're pro Patreon.
Pro Patreon.
Po. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, I feel very fortunate to be a comedian these days, you know?
Yeah. There's some cool stuff happening in the comedy world.
Speaking of which.
Yeah. Was there something specific you were thinking?
Well, I cannot. It's the elephant in every, you know, comedy room nowadays, especially in New York. Because last week, Harvey Weinstein was at a show.
Yeah.
And
Which
our
is
friends.
so strange.
Yeah, some of these people that we know. I mean, I said friends, but acquaintances. We've done their shows with.
Yeah.
Yes. They went up and to look out in the crowd and see Harvey Weinstein at your comedy show. Like, I did want to talk to you about this. Like, I know what I think that we would do is just like fucking start with our yes consent song. Yeah. Say, we wrote this specifically for you, you monster.
We have a song called the Weinstein song.
Yes, that,
so we
that too.
That
we have
song.
That also.
I think that would be incredible.
Keep it in your pants.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what happened, for those of you that do not know, because a lot of you are probably not in the comedy community and maybe don't follow
like
the
us.
comedy news.
Yeah.
Although this has made it to like CNN and stuff. But,
And New York Times and all that stuff. So yeah.
But this, there was a comedy show happening, and Harvey Weinstein had been invited to the show by the producers, and he came.
Mm-hmm. And the show was specifically for actors. It was like to support
artists and right?
and actors.
Yeah,
yeah, the actor hour. That's what it was called.
Yeah. So I guess there were some even people that were invited to the show that had heard that Harvey Weinstein had been there in the past, and specifically said, we don't want to come if he's going to be there. And they had vetted that he wasn't going to be there, but then I guess he was. And some people didn't know he was going to be there. So it was kind of a shock, I think. And then this one comedian, there was a couple of comedians that went up, I guess, first. And this one female comedian, what was her name again?
Kelly Bachman.
I
think it's Bachman.
Yeah, she got on stage and she just called him out.
Yes, it was so freaking funny too.
And also though it makes... A friend of mine sent it to me, the video, and you can look it up if you like. But it made my heart stop because it's really, she confronts him. And,
yes.
And, you know, confrontation, as the person that actually isn't that bad at confrontation compared to some, it still made my heart stop. I was like, oh my God, she's doing this. And she's trying to make jokes, but it is uncomfortable. And then she starts getting booed by his people.
And somebody told her to shut up.
Right. Mm-hmm. Then she gets her, like, the people are also cheering for her. So it's like this weird, it's very tense, but so cool of her. She just seemed like such a badass to get up there and call him out on that crap. And to not normalize the fact that this rapist is like in the audience.
Do not normalize it. Yeah. Well, so she said, she got up there in front of everybody. She said, I didn't know we had to bring our own mace and rape whistles to Actors Hour. And then she also called him like Freddy Krueger. She would be performing in front of Freddy Krueger.
And the whole time, I'd heard about this whole story originally because Amber Rollo had posted that he was at the show and she had been attending the show, and she went up to him and called him like a rapist or something, and then his like goons were like
kicked her. Yeah,
they called her a cunt.
Right. Oh, great.
So that was the beginning of the story
wonderful.
as far as I was concerned. And then it turned out there was this video and there was just more to it than that. But like, so his people weren't really representing him very well.
Right.
Either,
and Kelly, the comedian, is actually a survivor of rape.
Right.
So I can't imagine being put in that position.
Right.
Shame on Actors Hour, the
Huge
company,
shame on them, yeah.
that did that.
And the producer that decided that. And I think it was a female producer, too, that had invited him. Because that's really tone deaf. I don't know what that's
I actually
about.
learned that at one of the places I work, a restaurant or some whatever, Weinstein came in and they asked him to leave.
That's good.
So it actually made me feel very happy.
Safe.
And safe.
Like,
You have to keep your employees safe.
Right.
And for them to do that to the comics, I think that is just putting power and money over, the safety of your performers.
Yeah. And I think that when people do call out that behavior, like these strong women did, that helps the rest of us feel more like we can call it out too. Because I think that it's like I said, it still made my heart stop. I still was like, oh, this is so awkward.
I know. I can't believe she got up there and did
important
that.
to do, yeah, and brave.
Did you hear that Louis C.K. Just announced a full tour?
No, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm interested to. Where is he? I wonder where he's going.
I mean, I think all over.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I'm curious to hear what his hour will be now. Then I don't know. I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pay for it, but
No, I don't.
If I could hear a bootleg, I don't know. This is a very we're in an interesting time.
Well, I think it's very interesting for a comedian. It's just. I have friends who are musicians in Nashville and always asking, like, do you have to change your stuff now? Or, like, what is it like to be a comedian? And it is very different now than it was 9 years ago when we started.
Yeah.
It was so fun and light and, like, you could sing about whatever. And now I feel like we have a job to do.
Yeah. And part of that isn't just, there's different reasons why. Because one of it is political, where it's like we also have someone in office that is, like...
Right.
problematic for us. So there's a lot we want to say about those sorts of things. But then the Me Too stuff is even not related to that. That's just like, it's time for this stuff. And you can still do comedy that's light and fun. I don't think that you can't go out there and be a comedian and do fun stuff. And we should be having fun too. But we also happen to be in a band.
I'm not having any fun.
Don't have any more fun. But we also happen to be a band called Reform Tours, where we have always talked about sexuality and stuff. So it just made our job different. I don't think it necessarily has to change everybody's comedic job, but I think a lot of people want to talk about it.
But I do think that it, in some ways, it
has.
I think because I do think the audience has changed. I think people are more sensitive now.
Well, I think that maybe, and maybe this isn't what you mean. Is it like I think that there's some jokes that don't fly anymore.
Eddie Murphy's Raw doesn't. That sort of stuff doesn't
translate.
Yeah, it doesn't translate in 2019.
So those things, I think there's adjustments for that. But I think if you want to joke about like silly things, there's still room for that.
I think people can make jokes about anything as long as they're funny and that they don't hurt a community of people or rape survivors.
Right. And there was definitely 10 years ago, there was a lot more allowance for people to make jokes like about gay people and make jokes about people of color and make jokes about women and all these things. So that's true. Yeah, that's changed.
Oh, what an exciting time.
Yeah.
Wow, what a fun transition into what we're going to be discussing today. Speaking of
our modern lives, today we wanted to talk about revenge porn.
Yes. Revenge porn.
And that's an issue we have to deal with now with like...
Well, because everybody has little hand computers and little cameras, and everyone's a filmmaker, and everybody wants instant gratification. Send me this, send me that, and have you ever sent any kind of nudie pics to a lover? Yeah, I mean, right?
Sure.
Sure, Mom.
Oh, yeah, there's some
to my mother who's listening, yes.
There's some pictures out there.
Here's my little trick. Don't ever put your fucking face.
Right.
For me, that's just personally. But if you're a small child listening, not a small child.
Yeah, if you're first of all, if you're a small child, you should not be listening probably to this.
It's like a lullaby. No, if you're a teenager or whatever, I think that's like a...
It's a nice piece of advice.
Don't put your face in there.
My thing is that I always think very hard before I send whatever picture it is.
Yeah, stop, drop,
think
and
to
think
myself,
about it. Yeah.
Full blown, like, how would I feel if this got leaked?
Oh.
And I have a couple pictures where I'm like, damn, I look good. I don't care. There's so much to leak this. But the other thing about in my particular case is there's not like a ton of them out there, to be honest. And I know I could like recite. I won't, but I could recite to you like every single picture I've sent and who they were sent to because I'm very picky about who I send those things to.
Yeah, I think
But
I've only done it.
that being said, we're not trying to victim shame.
No,
anybody.
not at all.
Because
no.
that you should also, like the same way you should be able to walk down the street naked and not be asking for it. If you're in a consensual relationship and you've chosen
And you
to send a
trust
picture,
your
you trust
partner.
them, then you should feel the trust that they're not going to be blasting that shit out everywhere against your consent.
Yes.
So we bring it up because in the news recently, it's come up as an issue because Katie Hill, who's a congresswoman, has just had to resign from her position. She's one of the youngest women in Congress. She's 32 years old.
Freshman class.
And people were very excited about her. Nancy Pelosi had taken her under her wing. She was like really showing a lot of promise.
Because she had flipped the district in California where she's from. It was always a red district, and she was able to flip it and be a Democrat in the House. And now she's no more.
Right. And the reason why is because her husband,
ex-husband.
well, they're still
they're
divorced.
still getting to well,
So
she
it
says
wasn't even
ex,
an
yes, but yeah,
I mean,
they're
'cause
not technically
not together anymore. But I think that he didn't ask to be divorced until it's like July or something. I don't know. It's a recent kind of thing that they've been going through this divorce. That being said, he sent private pictures, naked pictures of her he put them on Reddit. He sent them to all these conservative outlets. The Red State, which is a conservative blog or something, published them and shamed her. He claims that she was having an affair with one of her staffers. And the pictures depict her with someone that was working for her campaign who he was in a throuple with. So it was him, the husband, Katie Hill, and then this additional woman that they were all in like a relationship.
because she's come out. She's bisexual,
Right.
and she's the first, I guess, congresswoman from California who's bisexual.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. But so he's put these photos out, put her in a position where then she's had to resign. This is sort of interesting about Me Too because since Me Too happened, hashtag Me Too happened. Is that what you call it now? I don't know.
Hashtag Me Too,
movement?
yes.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
If you say Me Too, it's like Me Too, I'll have some pizza. But if you put hashtag
Me Too,
yeah.
it means you're being assaulted.
Yeah, there you go.
So, got it. So they since that the whole movement has happened, the political people have said, okay, look, if you have staffers underneath you, you're not allowed to date them or have relationships with them because you're in a position of power, and now we're like playing with this whole Me Too issue, this whole problem. So it's like not even just frowned upon. I think it's like you can get fired for having relationships,
Having any
with
kind of
people
relationship.
and, on anybody that's like working for you, which I think is not a bad situation. It's kind of like in school. Like if you're a teacher, you're not supposed to date your students. You know what I mean?
that makes
and I feel
sense.
like in college too, even though you could be of age, they mostly, I think schools, like you can get fired for that. I think that's the situation nowadays, which is useful for many, many reasons. This article I was reading was saying that like, while that can sort of feel like her leaving office and her getting called out for that could to some degree be like a success story for the Me Too movement, it doesn't feel like a success because overall the message we're getting is that the revenge porn wins. And that's
It
where,
empowers
like, this gets really
then men
sticky.
to continue doing it because then it takes the power away from the woman or whoever you're
Right.
doing it again.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the revenge porn thing is so interesting
Yeah.
because I think when people first started taking sexy pictures of themselves and sending them to people, and people were first receiving pictures, it sort of seemed like this thing of like, oh, they're my pictures, so now I can like share them around or whatever. And what we found is that actually is not okay.
No.
and it's actually detrimental to the person that gets exposed in ways that are very, very similar to sexual abuse. And the repercussions that people experience after getting exposed like that can be the same as sexual abuse.
The amount of shame that someone can feel from sharing these private pictures with a person that they trust and then have them not be trusted and share them. Like I was, listening to some TED Talks and stuff about women who have gone through this. And like, again, like a person who has survived rape or something, it's so similar because you're feeling so much shame and you're trying to figure out like who's to fault. And it's like, and even these people that have had revenge porn take place on them, and then they go to the police, similar to someone who has experienced and gone through sexual assault. The police are like, well, why did you take the picture in the first place?
Right.
When they say, what were you wearing? Why were you drinking? Why were you out late? It's like the amount of just slut shaming that takes place for women. Right. We just can't win.
No.
When you share a picture with someone you trust and love, this person, Katie Hill?
Katie Hill.
Yeah. Her husband.
I think he took the picture.
Yeah. You can't even try, like, what is the world coming to if you can't share a nudie with your husband? Right. I'm serious.
No, for real.
Do we need to just go back to like drawing sketches? Like, let's do Titanic all over again and just... I'm going to send a hand-drawn pencil sketch of my breasts to my lover now because...
Yeah. Or just describe them, but like in person and
God,
record
it's
it.
just, I don't know.
I mean, I think part of this rise in this ability to... Because I think that like blackmail's always existed and photos have existed for a long time.
Right.
So that's always been like a thing. But there's something about the internet where you can just post it right away or get it posted and that the sheer number of people that can then see these pictures has just exploded compared to like when it was just a photo that you had in an envelope that you were going to send to your boss or something. That's like not the same sort of situation. And some of the things they were saying about like, well, what are these repercussions in terms of like mental health? And it can be anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, lack of trust, then not being able to open up and have a relationship with somebody else in a healthy way because of like
who can you trust?
Totally. And then in addition to those issues, it can destroy people's careers.
Right.
I mean, her career is destroyed. She worked for years to build up her campaign and she spent raised lots of money and like made this happen for herself. And then in one fell swoop, this guy has come in and destroyed it, her husband.
I have to say, I'm really disappointed in Nancy Pelosi on this because she did come out with a statement of like, you know, something about like, we have to keep the integrity of the House, you know, to a certain level. And, but like they're just talking about double standards within, you know, politics. How many men sitting there right now have had affairs or they I've never heard of this person before, but I was listening to a podcast about him. Duncan D. Hunter. He's a congressman right now from California. Him and his wife were taking campaign money and spending it on, you know, flights and just using it in very precarious ways that you're not supposed to be doing. And so they were caught and they're under an investigation. I think his wife is being tried. He's being tried right now. But also they used this money. He specifically used this money to have affairs with up to 5 women. Like they have found proof that he was using campaign money to take these women on dates and all that sort of stuff. But yet he's still sitting in Congress.
Right.
And like this stuff has been proven.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make him go to jail now, or at least like, he's paid back some of it. And like, but it's the double standard that just, it's so sad that because I think this is like a whole other thing, but I think with Democrats, we tend like the Republicans smear them and then us Democrats get rid of any kind of problem. They kind of viewed her as so different because she was young and flipped that district and she's bisexual and I think that she should not have left at all. There's no reason why.
Right.
I mean,
the sort of falling on your own sword
thing
that like the Democrats tend to do a lot. Well, there's that. I think that the other thing I just wanted to add, because your point is exactly right about the double standard, to even make a more clear comparison, I read this thing about where they were saying that there's even people in office now, like this guy who's still in office. Our president is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Who has been accused by numerous women, in his case, of wrongdoing, of not just like an affair, but him actually like sexual assault, right? Where they're complaining about his behavior. In Katie Hill's situation, first of all, she's being accused of having an affair with a male staffer, which she denies. Everybody denies that one. And there's no proof of that one at all. The thing that she can prove is that she had some relations with this woman that was working for her campaign. She claims before the campaign started, so that's where it's kind of unclear. But regardless, that woman has never come out and said she took advantage of me.
Right.
And part of the thing that's so like complicated about this,
it's just like such a,
is that the thing about the Me Too, that rule that they've imposed about like don't date your staffers, is to really it's not to say black and white, oh, you should never date anybody that you work with, because we all know that like there's so many healthy relationships that blossom out of work situations. There's a lot of other just theories about don't shit where you eat and things like that. But aside from that, it's not an impossibility that one could meet their love of their life at work, right? What the Me Too rule should be protecting are the people that are working under their bosses, and then their bosses come in and start manipulating that relationship, and they say like, come on, go on a date with me, and then you feel like backed up against a wall, like you have to date them because they're going to fire you if you don't.
right.
That's what that rule is in place for.
Right.
It's not for these like natural relationships that come out of whatever. So not only has that rule, and again, I'm not saying that it's a bad rule to have generally, like, hey, maybe that is where we should just be moving, but to manipulate that rule in a way where like they're saying like, see, she's breaking this Me Too thing. It's like, well, but part of the other level of the Me Too thing is that there's a victim in that relationship.
Right. When someone is not consensual.
Right.
When
And
it's
not, or even if it's consensual, but it's like manipulated.
Yeah.
And there's no proof that she was manipulating that woman to be in her throuple. You know, it seems more like they were friends first, and then she started working for the campaign, which is just a different. It's this like that gray area thing that we tend to feel weird about and not know how to deal with.
Well, the Daily Mail shared these pictures also, which I think is just such a shame for the publications that are sharing these pictures also. And you know what? If the Daily Mail is listening, fuck you, because they ruined my life for a day too. Remember, they shared a picture of me with
without your consent.
Without my consent. This is a true story. I was working the U.S. Open, and I was a VIP cater waiter, basically, in the Emirates suite. And they took a picture of me with Jason Biggs and his wife. Yeah. And then the Daily Mail. So I'm in the background of it, like doing some weird face or whatever. And they shared this picture, Daily Mail, and it had like 5 million views or whatever. And then his wife shared it also, like, thanks, Daily Mail. And then nobody commented about them. They were all the comments were about me, making fun of me. Yeah. So I don't.
Clothes on, but.
Yes. Yeah, but it was almost worse. I'd rather have been naked, not in a cater waiter outfit. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So, I mean, I feel, I mean, it's not.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all. Anger. But I mean, but having a photo shared non-consensually to over, millions and millions of people.
Yeah, you have a taste of what that can feel like, that public sort of shaming or whatever.
I was really upset by it because truth is, I want everybody to believe that I'm this successful, musical comedian, not a freaking cater waiter at the U.S. Open.
Right.
And the Daily Mail just blew my shit up. Right. Y'all can look it up. I posted the picture on my Instagram at Marie America. You can check it out yourself. But
no, but anyway, I mean, so you do have a sense of what it feels like to be publicly shamed.
As a cater waiter, not as
quite how I would compare it, but I do.
But I am mad at the Daily Mail.
I do understand. I do understand that.
It was so embarrassing. Anyway, okay.
Back to revenge porn. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Well, no, let's get
I've sort of lost my train of thought here. But one thing I thought was interesting about this made me think differently because again, like I think the first time I got a dick pic, especially some unsolicited dick pic, I don't remember that I did this, but it's possible that I was like, oh my God, look at this, and like showed somebody next to me, right?
Right.
Without thinking much of it and being like, well, they sent it to me and I didn't. Right. I'm sure I didn't ask for it. So that's also a whole other
You're not
thing.
Getting on the internet and being like, send me your dick.
Like, give me your dick.
Yeah, I don't need to see it. I mean,
unless I ask for it. I mean, like that's a different thing. There's been moments where
on my birthday, I asked for a dick pic. What? Sue me.
Yeah, it's great. You don't have to be sued unless you show everybody.
Yeah,
then they can sue you.
Right.
That's my point. So that's my point is that I think that what we need to like recognize this is where I think people are not sure yet, and we need to make it very clear. This is not only unethical. It's not only unethical to show these private pictures to other people, let alone post them in any form. It's also now illegal in 46 states. So that's a pretty new thing. When this stuff started happening, where they had these revenge porn websites and stuff where you could post these ex-boyfriends and stuff were posting these pictures of these women to shame them with their phone numbers and addresses and names and all these crazy things. When it first started happening, there was no law against it really. So I remember there being this thing. It was especially scary because there was like nothing these women could really do about it at first. And then finally, luckily, there are some rules now in place that are saying like, no, that's illegal if you post a picture. And even with Red State. So some websites like Reddit will say, well, if we don't have control of what people post. So if they post that up there, that's not our fault. But in Red State's case and Daily Mail's case, they chose to post those. They posted those pictures. It wasn't just posted by a user. So they can also be sued. So she actually has a lot of ability. I mean, she could get a lot of damages out of.
And now she's going to be fully dedicated to that.
Well, because now she doesn't have a job. So
right.
She's got lots of time to do it.
Well, revenge porn, you had shared this, but 90% of victims are women.
Right. So I wanted to mention that, like, I was thinking, okay, who are men? Because we know these stories. There are stories where men's dick pics get loose. They get out there, those dick pics got loose, and then it takes down their careers too. So we're not denying that doesn't happen. And I even read this whole thing about how, like, if it's a dick pic out there and we're kind of laughing about it and all that, like we are right now, it's still revenge porn. It's still illegal, even if it's a man's penis picture that gets
That's so interesting, though, that we laugh and think it's so funny and stuff. But yeah, it is exactly revenge porn.
It's the same thing.
Oh no!
So you have to be careful about don't post people's dick pics in case you think that that's okay. It's not okay. And sharing them with friends, it's not okay. It's all under the same blanket.
Yeah.
And if you get caught doing it, that's illegal, and you can get legally in trouble about it. If that's the only thing that stops you.
I know I've shared a dick pic that I've received with you.
I mean, I think that's why it's important to talk about it. Because like it's not okay. It's not all right.
I should now just respond. Can I show Katie?
Yes, and if they say
and then
yes,
they're like,
it's consensual.
Or they'll be like, what?
Yeah,
the fuck?
You can ask them. It's fine. Yes, please ask them.
This is beautiful.
I don't really
can
need
I
to
share
see all those dicks? So it's okay. I'm good. I'm good. But so the point just being that I was trying to think of other men, and the one guy that came up where I was like, oh, what about Anthony Weiner? Like his career was really like derailed and destroyed by those dick pics. But tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't he accidentally post them to Twitter? I think he did it to himself.
Oh, I don't know that.
I think he did. Somebody write us and let us know. But I think because I was like, did someone shame him with those dick pics? And I think
or
no.
he accidentally.
Well, he was messaging a young woman pictures through like Twitter DM or something, Twitter message.
No.
And I think he accidentally posted it to his page. And then that doesn't count as revenge porn, I guess.
Oh,
he did it to himself.
That's something
I was just
else.
wondering. Tell me if I'm wrong about that, but that made me kind of like,
Huh. I mean, that last name didn't help either.
No. That's a very, you gotta watch out. If your last name's Wiener, be careful with your dick pics.
Yeah, and also call me because I am looking for a husband with the last name Wiener.
Mary Wiener.
I love it.
Marie Wiener. I just called you Mary.
I know. I was
that
like,
was so
up?
weird.
What's up with that? But
Yeah,
Mary,
I
a
don't know
Wiener. There you go.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But other famous people have been victimized because of revenge porn. And that's actually how, Jennifer Lawrence is, I guess I still am a fan, but she was hit really hard by hackers.
Yeah.
Rihanna
too.
Rihanna, yeah.
And that scares the crap
Kim
out of me.
Kardashian.
Yeah, well, she
how
made
did that
a whole career out of it. But
I know.
Which is kind of amazing. But good for her for spinning something negative into gold. I don't know.
I feel bad that I try not to look at any of those pictures or whatever. Like if that's none of my business. But I have watched the Kim Kardashian porn.
How was it?
She does not look like she's so bored. She doesn't look like she's having much fun. She's just like, but her body is banging.
The problem with like real porn is that sometimes people are just bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's not good though.
I feel like, it's the other thing about it. That's what scares me too, though, is it's one thing to have like a boyfriend send something around and then you can like track him and be like, you motherfucker. But if somebody hacks into your stuff,
no, because that cloud.
Yeah. Like, oh God, the cloud.
Terrifying.
It's got all sorts of things. I don't really, again, I know what pictures I have.
See, that's where the cloud scares me because I don't understand it. And also I had to just upload all my iMessages to the cloud to like free space on my computer.
Oh, yeah. So all those
I'm like,
messages.
I'm a sextor. Like I pride myself on my poetry.
A sex tour?
A sexter.
Oh, a sexter. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, and I mean,
And they're
I've got
now
lots
all in the
of-
cloud.
I've got lots of verbal things.
But those are the things too that, I mean, if they were leaked, that's
Is there anything
good
that
either.
would you? I think one thing because I kept thinking today, I was like, what would happen to me if like all this stuff got leaked? And honestly, for me, I'm in a band called Reformed Whores.
Yeah.
I have a podcast called Difficult Women where we can talk about this shit. And like, I would like go after the person like crazy and try to ruin their lives now. But like, I'm not in the same position as like a teacher or like a CEO
Or congresswoman.
or a congresswoman. And so I think it's a different, I feel for people that really have something to lose. I have nothing to lose. I'm nothing.
I just wouldn't want my family to get to
Right, I would
see
feel
any
weird
of that.
about
Like
that,
I feel
yeah.
like my father's brain would just
Yeah,
that would
be
not
uncomfortable.
be good.
Yeah.
I'd get in trouble.
That's the other thing about this Katie Hill thing that people don't, I feel like gets sort of glossed over is that not only is Katie Hill then a victim in this, so this guy, her husband successfully destroyed her life, but he's now successfully destroyed that staffer's life, the male staffer who's not even necessarily done anything wrong. Like they may not have even had an affair. There's no proof
Right.
of it, but he's just dragged that guy through the mud. And then this other woman that he was in a relationship with too, he's like put her on blast too. So the amount of damage that this has done. So we were saying, you were saying earlier that this is primarily a female phenomena, that it's 90% of women are the victims of these things. And why is it still a thing that's so painful for women and so hurtful to women and yet doesn't seem to damage men quite to the same extent? I mean, I think some of it is the slut shaming. I think a lot of it is probably that. And the fact that, you know, a woman having sex is just... It's still horrifying. Even with her husband. Oh,
Right.
God forbid she's having sex
It's
with
just
somebody.
the game of power. Who has the power? And men, I'm sorry, 2019, men still have the power.
Right.
And honestly, it kind of goes with Katie Hill. Like she resigned, I think, because she wasn't only thinking of herself. She's thinking of all these other people whose lives have been affected.
Totally.
And to bow out now so that she doesn't have to drag them through the mud also.
Right.
So as a woman, she's empathetic and saying, no, she has compassion. So she's bowing out.
Right.
But this other fucking congressman, Duncan, whatever the fuck, he doesn't, it's like, I don't know. This podcast has really like brought a spotlight onto how, I'm a white woman. Like I'm very, very grateful. Like we are less discriminated against, in the whole scheme of things.
Sure.
But still, as a woman, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's just a lot of
it's
double
just
standards. Still.
So many double standards, and it's just not fair.
Yeah. It's hard too with the revenge porn thing because it's like, what do you do? Because this might be a good time too to say, okay, let's say you find yourself a victim of revenge porn. There are some steps you can take in case something does happen where you're put in a compromising position. The first thing you can do is you can go to Google and you can go to the websites, and they have to take those things down because it is illegal to post them. Especially I think if you ask, then they have to take them down. So that's the first step. Secondly, you should look up your laws in your specific state because the laws vary. From state to state, and
but call a lawyer if you can afford one. Yeah, call a lawyer and then call and have get the police involved ASAP.
Yeah.
There
are some. I know there's some stuff that just to be careful in case if you're like 17 and your boyfriend is 17 and that's underage, and you sent him a picture and he then blasted everywhere. If you're underage, you also are, you can be charged with child pornography. They're trying to work on those laws so that there can be if it's two minors and they're in a committed relationship and it's been a consensual relationship up to the point of the revenge porn, that they should be treated differently than someone who's actually selling child pornography or spreading child pornography around. But that's one reason why I mentioned be careful about your laws, just because you might want to see a lawyer first and figure out what's going on and make sure that you're protected because you are still a victim in this, regardless of your age and all that sort of thing.
Well, so I went to my high school reunion a couple weeks ago, and a friend who I hadn't seen since high school is now a principal, and I think a middle school principal. And so we had this really great conversation about what do you teach these kids in 2019. And he said the main thing that they're just trying to drill into these kids is that everything you post exists forever.
Right.
And he said that they really do struggle with that. And that they're just sharing their lives and being so public with everything.
Well, I think what's also hard about that, though, is that you can say it exists forever, but you may not know what you want to do with your life until you're 30, let's say. Let's say you want to run for office when you're 30.
Right.
You'd never thought about running for office. And you have like a whole backlog of pictures of you snorting coke. Like there's just, I mean, you at the time, you were like, oh, I'm not going to be running for office. Mm-hmm. And then future you. So I think there are going to be like I think these sorts of things we're going to see some leeway with some of these things. Like, oh, I did it in high school and it wasn't horrible.
Right.
But
we're going to have a president in 10 years.
Just like
tons of pictures. Yeah. Doing coke in college.
Right. And of course, if it's something horribly egregious, like what was going on with Kavanaugh, where he was like,
right.
You know, those things, like that does matter as a kid because that does say something about what you're doing, in my opinion. But I think that's such a crazy thing. I think that's one of the things that makes me feel lucky about when we grew up, because there is a very clear sense that this picture couldn't get out. So when I'm taking the picture, I'm like, how much of this nipple can you see? I'm like, how, because even if your face isn't attached to it, people can take screenshots of the texting so they can prove that it's you.
I didn't even think about that.
Right. So you don't have to put your head on there, but also like it doesn't stop people from doing things that could still blow your cover.
Yeah. Well, so I was watching another TED Talk, and this woman came on and she was talking about a story of revenge porn that was if you're a mother listening to this, like, cover your ears. No, I don't know. No, it's actually good for you to listen because I can't imagine raising children with this sort of stuff out there, but you have to have these conversations. But apparently this young girl, she was a teenager. She was hanging out with her friends that she had grown up with since like a small child. They were in high school now, and they were at a friend's parents' place who the parents were having a cocktail party upstairs. So they made the kids go downstairs, but they did allow the kids to drink. And so I guess that there were 10 boys and 10 girls. They were all just hanging out and getting drunk, and this young girl passed out. So her friends, boys and girls, thought it was so funny to take off her clothes, and they even drew on her with a Sharpie, and then some of them started putting things in her vagina too and taking pictures of it. And so that was like a Saturday night. She said on Sunday that nobody had been texting this girl, and she thought it was kind of strange, and she kind of had a weird feeling. And she asked even one of her best friends, like, what happened that night? Because she did wake up naked and was like, whoa, what happened? She was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing, not a big deal. Monday at school, her friends are acting weird still. And it wasn't until like that Wednesday where a video of her passed out started circulating around the school. And she was completely passed out. She had no memory of this. So she's watching this. And could you just imagine?
I can't even imagine that.
And she said that she went home, and her mom was like the type of mother that like baked cookies in the afternoon. So her mom had made cookies for her, and she could tell her daughter was upset and trying to get the information out of her, what was wrong. And the young girl went upstairs and killed herself.
It makes me so angry and sad. That was actually another piece of advice that they gave parents with this texting stuff. So if your child becomes a victim of porn, revenge porn, or anything like that, don't get mad at them for doing it. For God's sake,
get mad at your
don't
child.
get mad at them, because this is just part of like the culture. They need you to support them more than anything right now, and you need to help them get legal help and police help and all those things right away. And you have to be supportive of them, because these things can feel. They feel traumatic as an adult. And as a
can't
kid,
imagine as a teenager going through that.
And then people to kill themselves. That's so upset. And not that the parents knew, so I'm not blaming her mother.
Of course.
But just it reminded me that, this is not a time to get angry and lecture your daughter for being a slut or something. This is where the slut shaming thing is a big deal. Also, I feel like in youth culture right now, it's a big deal. If you've ever seen Euphoria, have you seen Euphoria?
Yes, on HBO.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
I had to turn it off. It disturbed me so much.
It's really upsetting, but it's a really good show if you get through it. But one of the things you walk away from that show is this notion that I think doesn't always leave us, even in our grown lives, as we would like it to, as we move into more equality and all that. But this notion that there's a lot of girls in schools are trying to please the boys, and the boys are putting a lot of pressure on them to do stuff that they don't really want to do, but they feel like they have to because of that. So there's so many levels to that.
Well, in that basement, that peer pressure was just going on like crazy. And it's just
imagine.
one person thought it would be funny, and then this other person went along. But that one person was like, "Oh, I really don't feel good," but they're not going to.
Somebody in the room.
I mean, just so sad.
So upsetting. Well, that's the other thing too about so we're talking a lot about selfies and things that you
right,
send
but there's
with consent.
other forms.
But there's also creepy people that
film you while
without
you're
your consent, and that stuff can get leaked too. So I don't really know. Again, I don't know what you do about that. It's a trust issue because in theory you're with people that you trust and you spend time with people that you trust and all that.
If there's a teddy bear that
it's
looks
looking at you
like
funny,
there's
wall-eyed.
yeah.
Watch out
on the bed,
buzzing. That might be a sign.
move it to the
I don't know.
bathroom.
So awful. And this goes for women too. You're not allowed to secretly film your
No.
male people. You're not allowed to, or whatever. Or if you're, in a same-sex relationship, you can't film people. Don't do it. It's not allowed unless they know. Unless you've agreed to it.
Unless you
it's
hire
fine.
a crew to come in.
Yeah, you want to make them look good.
Yeah, get those
lighting.
lights.
Yeah.
3-point lighting. That's the only time I'll ever do
man.
a sex tape.
Well, the only other
Jesus.
thing I wanted to mention was because this crossed my mind was so I got an airdrop of a really creepy picture the other day.
I saw that on Instagram.
It was like a bunch of macaroons that had like baby faces on them, which is really
creepy.
Weird. It's really creepy.
So
and
you open your phone and somebody was
looking at my
trying
phone,
to
and all of a sudden
airdrop
this
that.
thing popped up and said Elizabeth's phone wants to airdrop you this picture, and I was like, who the fuck is Elizabeth? And I don't know what was going on. I honestly think it was an accident because there was like a huddle of like older women that were trying to figure out how to use their phone. So I think it was them that accidentally didn't.
She was probably trying to share it to her friends,
and they were
maybe.
learning how to airdrop or something.
Right.
But I've definitely multiple times I've been on the subway and had somebody airdrop a dick pic to me.
I've heard of this.
Yes, it's happened to me a couple times, and
That's illegal.
Well, it's also harassment.
It's harassment. Yes.
It's sexual harassment. But I was wondering about well, then is that fair game to show that dick around because they sent it to me and I didn't want it?
Yes.
Well, I think legally, I think it's no.
Okay,
but
I'm not a lawyer.
But that made me go but wait a minute, they are harassing me with their penis.
Oh, it's so convoluted.
But then I would be, and they might also get in trouble for that. But then I would
still
get in
trouble for
sharing if I
it.
posted it on Reddit or something. I was like, this man sent me his dick. I
Then
think
you
that
could
then I
be-
could still be in trouble. But you know what? It also made me think of is we think oh, this whole new world of internet sex things or whatever. But the truth is it's all the same rules as real life. So if I'm on a subway and someone flashes me their penis, that's not allowed. So you don't send me a picture if I don't know you and I don't want it. That's not allowed. But also I'm not allowed to take my naked boyfriend and push him out the door and go, everybody look at my naked boyfriend, because that's assault. You know what I mean?
Oh man, this
And
just
the same way
reminded
you
me of
can't
that
just post a picture.
when I did a play and I accidentally pulled down his pants.
But it was by accident, right?
It was totally by accident,
Yeah.
but I did it 2 nights in a row.
Why?
I didn't mean to. I was like, anyway,
You're gonna go to
I'm
jail
gonna go
now.
jail.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to be locked up.
Oh God. Have you ever been pressured by someone? Have you ever felt pressured to send?
I was thinking about this. I was loosely seeing a pretty freaking well-known comedian who I kind of ended things with. And late at night, I would get these text messages from him. How are you? Good. We'd have nice little talks. And then he would immediately start with, send me something that I might like. And it got kind of just super creepy.
Yeah.
And I never did because it was just so creepy.
It's so funny. I was thinking about what happened to me, and I had a similar thing. A fellow comedian that I was kind of seeing, or not even really seeing, but we were kind of starting to see maybe something was happening. And I remember that I really thought we liked each other. I really thought it was a thing. It was nice. And then this text of send me a pic. And at first I was like, oh, he wants to see my face.
Oh, didn't you just send him?
And then I realized I was like, oh, I see what he's asking for.
Oh.
So I didn't send. I was something in me was this is trouble because We have
Right.
too many friends in common. I don't trust this person enough. I don't know him well enough. So I sent him a picture that I photoshopped of like me and a squirrel. Like it was just like me in a tree with a squirrel. And he was sort of like, haha, that's not really what I meant. And I was like, that's okay. I was like, whatever.
God,
And I, knowing now, and of course at that time I didn't know how things were going to unfold. But knowing now how things unfolded and actually knowing more about that individual and how he's treated other women and how his friends have talked about other women and how they've treated other women, all this stuff came out. I am so thankful that I didn't send him anything.
Right.
Because I feel almost 100% confident that picture would have at least been passed around that community.
Oh, that's so sad.
Which
to
is so
think.
scary.
Which is
It's so
so
scary.
yeah.
And it makes me, as I'm sitting here, I'm like furious.
Yeah.
Because I know that I feel like that particular group has probably done that with
For
other
look,
people that
I
we
got
know
this,
that are
yeah.
our friends, you know?
Well, one thing that I was reading is that there was actually a website for different, it was a worldwide website where they would pick a location in the world and then it would be a sport then. They would
right,
like
I saw
zero
this.
in on one, and it was it was like teenagers doing
Yeah.
this. So they would zero in, we want a picture of Rebecca Long from Austin, Texas. We want tits and ass, like go get it, boys. And then like together they would then hunt. They'd call it hunt for this person's,
And they would trade
they
naked
would trade-
photos of other women.
yeah, they'd give like I'd give you 1,000
trading
naked,
card or
yeah.
something.
For
I mean,
this.
that is
oh God, it's so
infuriating. It's infuriating. And even like, I've definitely had, I don't know, even as like a grown ass woman to have like these adult men trying to pressure you into sending these pictures. I mean, I've had lots of people pressure me into doing it, and I didn't really. I mean,
Right.
I never sent one that I like wasn't okay sending. But even the fact that like, and especially with we're dating now, and you're meeting new people and stuff, and like the gall people have to be like, send me a pic, and you're just like, wait, I thought we were like. I don't know. It's like you
thought
have
we
to
were
really
equals
trust
here.
somebody.
It's
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I will say I also don't every pic that I have that I've sent, I have a dick. So I could always like if somebody,
okay.
like I've got their dick
and then you
and then some and then I maybe sent something, but at least I have a little collateral there or something.
It's funny. I have one picture that like I've been circulating for maybe the past 10
right,
years.
that also is
And like my butt looks so good.
yeah.
And like when people are like, send me a pic, I'm like, this is me when I was, so young.
I have this one kind of like it's not gratuitous, but it's probably the most like
Oh, really?
gratuitous. It's not gratuitous, like it's not like vagina lips, just like in the shot or
no,
anything.
I
like
have
that.
not done that.
But there's
Yeah,
like it's like a naked body a little bit happening there. And there was one that I sent to a boyfriend, that I was like dating. And I thought about that was the one that I'm like, oh man, should I have had that one? But then I was thinking about it the other day. And I was like, I looked so fierce in that picture.
Yeah, that's great.
Then fine, don't say if you put it out, I'm gonna kill you. But whatever.
I do have one that I took that I was completely naked, but then I photoshopped emojis covering all the parts,
perfect.
and it's pretty cute. I mean, if that got out there, great. It's so
like,
cute.
Yeah, make my career.
Yeah.
No, but then we're
Please
just
don't,
kidding.
Daily
Yeah,
Mail.
Don't do it.
Don't.
We're just kidding.
Yeah,
we're trying to make. But there's something actually as we're doing this though. There is something because I'm like, how do we combat this? How does one combat revenge porn and somebody using these images against you? So short of like not sending them, right? There's something to be said for like diffusing them a little bit somehow and being like, yeah, that's my body. First of all, take it down because it's private. But secondly, like I'm proud of my body. I'm proud of what I do with my life. I'm proud of like being in her case, bisexual. She was also, there's a picture of her smoking a bong. It's like, yeah, I smoked some weed. You know what I mean? Like there's something there. Again, it's still private. It shouldn't be shared.
But to
if you can like not
give them
the
the
shame.
power.
Don't give them the shame somehow. And this is probably much easier said than done. But as we were talking about it, I just don't know how else to combat it. I told you this story once. This is sort of related. Yeah. I think actually this can be related. So there's this like sort of story of this what is it called? Like a meditation guy, like guru kind of guy. What do you call him? Guru dude. Okay. So there's a guru dude and he's running this big, he has this group of people coming to visit him and he's teaching them meditation or whatever. And this one guy shows up and says, you're a fake, you're a phony. fuck you, like you're terrible. And the guru just sort of smiles at him and goes, and the guy's like, don't you hear me? Like I'm telling you that you're a phony and you're horrible and fuck you and you're the worst. And the guy's like, and then it's making the other guy more and more angry. And finally he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you like hearing what I'm saying? And the guru says, if you were to try to give me a present, but I didn't accept it, who would be holding the present? And the idea is that, like, if you don't allow them to tear you down in the way that they're trying to, then they kind of are the one holding all that anger and all that energy. And that brings me to the point of, like, a lot of these articles, it's a lot about her and about like what's happening to her. And, oh, she's bad. Oh, she's having an affair. Is she having an affair? Is she not having an affair? Is she bisexual? Is she not bisexual? Oh, she's smoking pot. Oh, she's.
But we really
what
should
about
just
the
be
guy?
The
like,
ex-husband.
What kind of a man? And this is abuse, by the way. This is actually abusive.
It's a sex crime.
It's a sex crime. So what about this guy? Can we destroy his life now? Because he has committed a crime that is supremely egregious against someone he said he loved, which or whatever. And apparently it seems like she's sort of claimed that he's been sort of abusive for a while too, in maybe various ways. But this, even aside from that, what about these guys that are posting these pictures? What about the ones, aside from just getting sued or whatever, how come, why can't they, let's see their faces. Let's see if they're so brave to post these pictures. I want to see your face so that then when I come across you down the street, just like Harvey Weinstein, I can be like, you're a fucking sex predator.
Right.
You're a fucking criminal.
Well, this TED Talk I was watching, they call it cyber domestic abuse because it's actually these men who have been physically abusive towards their wives or girlfriends or whatever. And then finally the women are able to get to a safe place and not be physically next to them. Right. This is the next level of them being able to punch them, to hit them, to take them down, to take their power.
Right.
So it's domestic abuse. It's a sex crime. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. And it's happening to women.
And it's funny to think that when people post that, their whole goal is to destroy their partner's lives, right? What kind of what's happening with that person? That person's dangerous. Right. I mean, that's dangerous. I've had lots of you have ex-boyfriends and things, and you hate them, and you're mad, and oh god.
But I've never been to a place.
Them in a way that's like so permanent,
No, not like that.
And publicly,
not to publicly shame them and their families and that.
Oh my god! In addition to their families, I mean that's a whole other thing. I don't know. So I think that there are laws. Some people say the laws aren't strict enough, but maybe now as this becomes more and more of an issue, they'll start cracking down.
Well, I think Kamala Harris actually has new legislation that she's trying to introduce that's really going to be strict and more of a federal law.
Yeah, that's true too. They were trying to, because there are all these state laws now, but it hasn't become a federal law yet.
And some of the state laws are like misdemeanors, so they get like $500 fines for doing it.
Right, but I think you can also sue for defamation and things. Right. So the problem really is that not the problem, but while the crime itself is not taken that seriously, at least with the defamation, that's where people really suffer usually. But if someone doesn't have the money to pay, then you don't get much out of it anyway. I don't know. It's infuriating.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're talking about it though, because, we do need to be talking about it. Yeah. But also, if you feel empowered and that you're in a trusting relationship and you do want to send a titty pic, there's nothing wrong with that either.
And the thing that I read too was that the majority of photos that people send, there's no repercussions that are negative. It's mostly just fun and people are respectful of each other and they don't really do much, But also on a side note, aside from just posting it super publicly, can you not share with your buddy? Can you not share that picture with your friend? Because that's just degrading and really disrespectful. And I know maybe we think it's not that big of a deal, but you never really know where those things can go. So I don't know.
I'm going to start telling my gay friends to stop showing me dicks that they might be.
You're like, that's not for me to see.
Yeah, shopping around for. It's not for me.
Unless you ask him, hey, can I show Marie your dick? That's what we decided is okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, this is something that you and I both can do right now.
Is stop showing each other
dick pics.
We don't do that. But
no, but I do have a lot of guy friends that show me lots of dick pics of hey, I'm going to go out with this guy on Friday. Sure. I'm like, well, can I see his face? He's like, I don't have a space.
Yeah, I don't have
It's like,
something.
well, okay.
Right.
But I mean,
And that was
we're
actually
all
another,
growing.
By the way, there was another some percentage that a
LGBT,
higher number
yeah.
of people that are affected by victims of this are in the LGBTQ community. So it is important to be respectful of everybody.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
that makes sense, right?
Yeah. I wonder. I don't know if I'm wondering, like, will I send more sexting pics? The answer is probably yes.
I know. I was like, that's why I had to say that thing about like, if you want to, I'm going to send titties later tonight, you know?
Yeah.
I think Ted's excellent adventure needs to be seen.
Yeah.
Just kidding. just to my partner.
Yeah.
I'm in a long distance relationship, so we got to keep it alive somehow.
No, and I
you
think
know?
that, again, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but there is something wrong if he ever shares it with the world.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
But you know what you can share with your partner?
What?
Sex toys.
That's right.
And where can you buy sex toys?
At adamandeve.com, which is an affiliate of Difficult Women.
Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up your bedroom is even better.
Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff.
Enter offer code HORIO at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts.
A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy.
And 6 free spicy movies.
Ooh. Plus, free shipping.
That's HORIO, WHOREO, HORIO at adamandeve.com.
I mean, we're just making the world a better place, that's all.
I mean, yeah, that's what this whole podcast is about. And I hope you all learned something about this revenge porn. I know it made me think.
It definitely made me think. It just made me real mad about Daily Mail.
Yeah.
So mad about
You're
that.
going to do some revenge porn on the Daily Mail.
Oh, yeah, let me get some.
Revenge.
No, I wouldn't.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, well,
All
this
right.
is fun. And please, again, write us. Let
Yeah.
us know what you're thinking to difficultwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hollywood has been so irresponsible. Each week it seems a new abuser is named. And while I'm happy that people are being held accountable, I don't want it to affect the way I'm entertained. Of course the patriarchy should be dismantled, but not if it means all my favorite shows get canceled. So keep it in your pants. All my favorite films won't stand a chance. I don't want to stop watching every Weinstein flick, 'cause he couldn't stop whipping out his dick. So keep it in your pants. Y'all have a sick idea of romance. Stop publicly rubbing up on your crotch, or we'll have no TV left to watch. Think of all the residuals that have been lost, 'cause you made a girl watch you jerk off. And for God's sake, don't pitch a tent unless you have got their consent. I get the outrage, 'cause hashtag me too. Yeah, girl. Yeah. And this punishment is long overdue. And I swear to God, someone will get home if a pervert ruins Game of Thrones. So keep it in your pants. On this I gotta take a hardline stance. 'Cause if you keep giving actresses unsavory looks, I'll be forced to start reading books. keep it in your pants. Just zip it up and keep it in your